Hi everyone, my name is Marie Johnston. I am a co-founder and director at Culture by Design. Now, there's a lot going on right now that is outside of our control, and there's a lot that we don't know. We don't know where the economy is going to go necessarily, and how long it's going to be in a downturn, and we don't know what that means necessarily yet for our businesses. So for a lot of businesses, it's still unsure in the long term, maybe even in the medium term and short term, as to what's going to happen. So what are some of the things that we do know? We do know that right now, workplace culture is incredibly important. So as culture is important all of the time, it's a huge asset in our organisation if you have a strong, well-aligned and positive culture. We also know that right now, culture is particularly vulnerable, and it's also particularly pliable. And that happens in times of rapid change and high stress, which is where we're at the moment. Essentially what that means is that what you do over the next few weeks and few months is going to impact your culture long term, probably over the next 3 to 5 years. And that's because when we're in periods of high stress and potentially that sort of crisis type situation, we remember what happens to us. We remember how that felt, and we remember how we treated, who gave us support, where that support came from, and perhaps where that support didn't come from as well. It still stays with us. And so therefore what we do as leaders over the next few weeks or months really will become our legacy, both for our organisational culture long term, but also for us as leaders long term as well. So what does that mean? What can we do to protect that culture, to give our people as much support as we possibly can, and also to look after ourselves as leaders? Well, first off, one of the most important things that you can do is make sure that across your organisation right now, you have alignment across your leaders. Now, if there's only 1 or 2 leaders in your organisation because you're quite small, then that's a lot easier. But when you have larger organisations where you may have a number of leaders, that becomes more challenging. And when we're talking about leaders, by the way, we don't just mean the CEO and your executive team. We mean everyone in your organisation that leads or manages people. So right down to your team leaders and your supervisors that are on the ground, those people are incredibly important. So how do you do that? How do you create that alignment and make sure that that stays? What we would absolutely recommend is that you're getting that group of people together on a regular basis. So bring your leaders together and be discussing as a full leadership team, what actions are you going to be taking over the next week, over the next few weeks, over the next few months? What messages are you sending your people, and getting really aligned around those messages so that everybody's getting consistent communication? That's really, really important, because out of that, that's where you're going to be getting the clarity and consistency that your people are absolutely needing and seeking at the moment. So get your people aligned and keep your leaders aligned over that long term. Really important. Why is it so important? One of the things that's happening right now is that change is happening, and change is happening with or without us. Over the last 4 weeks, we have all worked differently to the way we normally do. So whether that means we're in businesses that have shut down completely for 4 weeks, whether that means that we are in businesses where we've been working a lot from home, or whether we are essential services, any of those situations still means that we've been acting very differently than we have before the lockdown in the way that we bring ourselves to work or don't bring ourselves to work. Now, as we move out of that level 4 lockdown zone, as we move into level 3 and then level 2, again, change is going to happen. So as this is all happening, our norms, the norms that have been potentially in our workplace for years, are all going out the window. Those norms are being broken down, and as people come back and we start to create this new normal, because it will be different to the way it was before, the world has moved on, that new normal will mean new norms and new behaviours are going to be formed. So get ahead of it, because now is a brilliant opportunity for you as a business to think about, what do you want those norms to be? How do you want people to communicate and behave and act in the new world? So if you can get that alignment in what you want that norm, that new norm to look like, those new norms, those new responsibilities, those new expectations around behaviours, get that aligned across your group of leaders. Make sure that as people come back into the workplace, that's what's happening. Because this is an opportunity for you to realign your norms across your organisation. And we get very few opportunities to be able to do that. So there is a lot not going our way at the moment from a business perspective, but this is one of those few silver linings. So take advantage of it, make sure that you're front footing what those new norms are going to look like. Now, I'm going to be telling you to suck eggs when I talk about this, but the next point that's really important is to communicate. Communicate, communicate, communicate. You can't do it enough at the moment. Your people need to hear from you. Now, where that can be difficult at the moment is that there is a lot that is unknown, and leaders typically like to be able to be quite decisive and quite certain in their communications. And yes, people want certainty, of course they do, but if you're not in a position to provide certainty right now, don't let that stop you communicating. Just be open and honest about it. Because if you do stop communicating until you have all the answers, you create a void. And people will fill that void in their own way. And usually that is with stuff that ends up being more negative than what is actually going on in reality. So rather than allowing that to happen, just be open and honest. Your people will respect that, and they will understand that you don't have all the answers right now. As long as you front foot that, that's the way to move forward through this, but don't stop communicating until you have the answers. Right now, emotions are high. If we're not worried about our own selves in terms of our financial ability moving forward, that stability, and also our health outcomes, then we're worried about that for other people around us, whether that be family or friends or whatever that looks like. So everybody's running on high emotion right now. Plus, we're in the middle of huge change and people struggle with change. So we're all kind of overloaded, if you like, with what's going on. What that means is that little things that happen to us get blown up into big things. What that also means is that small kindnesses right now mean a huge amount to our people. So there's an opportunity here for us to be able to just do small things that support our people that are going to make a huge difference further down the track. What does that look like? First of all, practice your active listening skills. The more you can be doing that with your people, the better. And not just you, but all of your leaders. So make sure that all of your leaders are getting alongside each individual that they're responsible for and really understanding what's going on for them. So really actively listening about, what it is that's going on for them personally, what they're concerned about, perhaps stuff that's going well for them as well. But make sure that they're actively listening and that they're providing that empathy. So there is no necessity for your leaders to be solving their people's problems. You can't necessarily do that, and a lot of it's going to be out of your control. That's okay. This is about listening and showing empathy and being aware of what everyone's situation is. Because believe me, when people look back and they think, my leader really cared, and they took the time to find out, and they took the time to help me where they could help me and be aware of my situation, that's huge. And here's the beautiful thing about that. It doesn't cost a cent. It's not going to take anything off your bottom line, because let's face it, while we'd love to be able to help our people financially, potentially right now, for a lot of organisations that's just not possible. We're fighting for survival. So these sorts of things that we can do that don't cost us anything but have a huge impact is where we need to be putting our attention. And it's something our leaders should be all over anyway. So make sure your leaders are in that space. The other thing that's going to be really important is making sure we bring some lightness. So make sure that you're inviting fun into the environment as well. Everything's really heavy right now. People need that release. So make room for that as people start to transition back into the workplace. That's really important, and it will help your productivity. So talked a lot today about all the things that leaders need to think about doing. And that's tough. Leaders have a huge amount on their plates at the moment. Not just are they trying to support their people, they're trying to find a way through this for their businesses and make sure that you survive. And that's a huge amount of pressure. So critically, probably the most important thing I'm going to say today is look after yourselves. Find those things that help you, whether that be getting out for a walk, exercise, time with family, time with the dog, whatever it is. Make sure you continue to do those things even when it's hard to do those things. Even when you're getting really busy, it's when you need it the most. Because if you're not in a good space, then you're no good for your people either. So in order to be in the best possible space for your people, you need to take that time for yourself. It's not selfish. The other thing is, be kind to yourselves. This is tough stuff. There's no roadmap. We're making it up as we go along. We're finding our way through this. This is uncharted territory. So we just have to do the best we can. We're going to make mistakes. So make sure that you're giving yourself the same amount of empathy and compassion as you would be for your people. Because it starts with you. You've got to be in a good space, and it's okay. We're all figuring our way through this. As I look at what's happening out there, I see a huge number of leaders doing an incredible job. So let's all stick together. Let's keep up that good fight. We are absolutely here. If you need us, if you need support or you need help, please let us know. Other than that, kia kaha and good luck.